This video is on question 15 of the 2012 TSA paper, and here we're asked which option can be drawn as a conclusion from the passage. And this is the passage that we're given. So we're first told that when serious accidents, for example plane crashes, when serious accidents happen, there are demands to identify and punish those who are responsible. We're then told that companies found guilty of corporate killing being when the company as a whole is held responsible for deaths. Companies found guilty of corporate killing in these accidents could be given huge fines, says the author. But, they continue, the point of punishment should be to ensure that safety systems are excellent. Punishing companies with fines or other financial penalties does not massively impact the individuals in the company, and so doesn't make them feel responsible for safety. And the author finishes by saying that if the law allowed for the directors of these companies to be jailed, then this would provide the incentive to ensure that the best safety systems are in place. So that's our passage. And you'll notice that the first two sentences are facts, whereas sentences 3 to 5 consist in the author giving their opinion. So we're looking to draw a conclusion from the passage. So the passage isn't going to contain the conclusion of the argument. Nevertheless, it's going to contain the rest of the argument. And it's not in the facts that we're going to find the rest of the argument. Rather, it's what the author thinks where we're going to find the rest of the argument. So that's what we're going to focus on in trying to graft the structure of the passage, which is what we're going to do now. So here I've isolated the three boxes which pertain to the opinion of the author. So what's being said in each? Well, in sentence 3 here, the author is saying that the aim should be to improve safety. That's why punishment should happen, because we're trying to improve safety. What is sentence 4 saying? Well, here the author is saying that company fines, fining companies, does not improve safety. Company fines do not improve safety. What about sentence 5? Well, here the author is saying that jail sentences for company directors do improve safety, in contrast to company fines. So we have to think what follows from these three sentences. So we have the aim should be to improve safety, company fines won't do it, jail sentences will do it, therefore what? Therefore, introduce jail sentences. This statement seems to clearly follow from these three statements. And so we're going to take a look at some options now, and we want something along these lines. So here we have our 5 options, and here we have what we have proposed as the conclusion that can be drawn. Namely, that jail sentences should be introduced for company directors. So can you see an option which matches this conclusion? Well, it looks like C matches this conclusion. C is saying that the law should allow for jail sentences for directors of companies which are guilty of corporate killing. So option C looks like the right answer, but let's check the others. Option A says that companies which are found guilty of corporate killing should be fined. Now, this is probably the opposite of what the author thinks. The author would probably say companies shouldn't be fined, rather their directors should be sent to jail. Nevertheless, it's possible that they think both should happen, but in any case, what they're arguing for is the introduction of jail sentences for company directors. They're arguing that fines for the company are insufficient. What about option B? Option B says that airline pilots should not be held responsible for serious accidents. Well, just because the author thinks that directors of companies should be held responsible for serious accidents does not mean that they think that airline pilots should not be held responsible for serious accidents. They could always hold that both company directors and airline pilots, in cases of plane crashes where the pilot is responsible, should be held responsible. So option B doesn't follow. What about option D? Option D says that the point of punishing company directors is to achieve justice for victims of serious accidents. Now, if we take a look back at the passage, the author explicitly says what they think the point of punishment should be, namely to ensure that safety systems are excellent. So option D seems to be the opposite of what the author thinks. So it's not a conclusion that can be drawn from the passage. What about option E? This says that safety systems are not the direct responsibility of directors of transport companies. Well, if the author thinks that punishing directors of companies will have an impact on safety systems, then they probably are assuming that those directors are responsible for the relevant safety systems. So this, again, seems to be in opposition to what the author thinks. So that leaves option C as the correct option.